Welcome to Hormones and Handstands, a functional hormone nutritionist and a beauty editor and yoga teacher's guide to acing the challenges of midlife. Welcome back to episode 2 of series 2, and today we're going to be talking about health, beauty and wellness trends for 2026, all the things we're excited about. Actually, my first one sounds unexciting, but it's pretty sexy, I think. My first one is fiber. I think 2026 is the year we're all going to be talking about fiber. And of course, that means talking about poo, which is one of our favorite subjects. So we know that at least 96% of UK adults don't get the 30 grams of fiber that's recommended per day. And that has all sorts of knock-on effects. So we used to think that fiber was just roughage, shoving everything through. But as you've taught me, fiber is so much more than that. And there's a big conversation happening now about how to get more fiber into our diet, because it's actually really hard to count fiber in the same way as we count grams of protein. So Pippa, maybe you can explain, why is fiber now? Why do we know it's now so crucial?
Well, I think the conversation has always been there. We've known it, but there's much more research linking it to certain things. So like low levels of fiber being linked to bowel cancer, for example. And I think now it's really just getting attention. So I agree. I think 2026, we are going to see fiber blowing up.
Woo!
And I hope so, for good reason, because I think, unfortunately, there've been an awful lot of trends where there are diets that are low in fiber, like keto, for example, is often very low in fiber, keto diet, and also carnivore diet. So we see those two diets and we can actually see the repercussions in stool testing that they have low diversity. And when I say diversity, it's all the different good gut bugs that we want. And they tend to have certain groups they're very, very low in, and some of their inflammatory markers can be high. So we know that fiber is good for us in many ways. It's not just constipation. It helps with preventing insulin resistance. So metabolic health, hugely important. So very important for weight loss, really important for our hormones. It's something people don't even think about. So we need to detox our hormones. So particularly estrogen can be a problem if we have detoxed it successfully through the liver once we've used it, whether it's your own or whether it's your HRT, then so it goes through the liver, goes into bile, goes through the gut. Now, if our gut isn't healthy, we don't have enough good gut bugs, and that might be from not eating enough fiber that feeds our good gut bugs, then what happens is estrogen can recirculate and go back round into the system. So it's really important for detoxification.
And that can give you symptoms, can't it? Which we touched on in episode 1 of season 1, didn't we? The estrogen dominance.
Absolutely. I mean, go back and listen to that. We've got everything from sore boobs to fibroids to endometriosis to migraines to hormonal acne, heavy periods, all sorts. I mean, I've seen in clinic over the years that when we change a woman's diet and we increase fiber, and in young girls as well, particularly, it can absolutely improve so many of these symptoms. So it is hard, though. I agree. People find it quite hard to get to that recommended amount. So, and we're recommending about 30 grams a day. Want to increase your fiber slowly, because otherwise you are going to blow up. Lots of wind, especially. So how do we increase slowly? So this is where if you really are low in fiber, I would just be increasing it slowly with certain vegetables. I wouldn't start piling into taking loads of supplements, for example. Raspberries is a great fruit that's high in fiber. People don't think about avocados, for example, as well.
Yeah, I was really surprised avocados high in fiber, and chocolate, dark chocolate. I mean, I'm not saying pile into that, but it's got more fiber than a slice of wholemeal bread, isn't it? 2 squares of dark chocolate, more fiber than 1 or 2 slices of wholemeal bread. I remember doing a reel about it once, but
I know what I prefer, actually. I love dark chocolate. We're absolutely obsessed with dark chocolate. But yes, so I mean, I love eating beans and pulses, and I know you love a good dal, and then you like quite, Ayurvedic cooking. I wouldn't say that's a place to start if someone isn't used to eating fiber, because those are the ones that are going to cause more digestive distress. However, there are ways of making it easier. So, for example, there are some people that don't do well on chickpeas. It can give them such bad wind or stomach aches. But if they have hummus, they're fine. So when you sort of broken it down a bit, it's easier. Soaking your lentils and beans really, really helps, as well as cooking them in a pressure cooker. So all of that helps with the digestion. But I would just keep it simple, like my vegetable challenge. I would just look at your plate every day and just say, what different vegetables am I eating today? And then another set of different vegetables, because it's not just the amount of fiber, it's the different types of fiber that are going to feed all our different gut bugs.
Yeah, amazing. And from you, I have got into the habit of taking 2 tablespoons of ground flax seeds every day in my smoothie. I mean, that was more for kind of hormone detox, but it's a really good fiber start to the day. And I think if you load up at breakfast time, I don't skip breakfast. It's like we discussed last week, my cortisol type means it's not good for me to skip breakfast. But also, I feel like breakfast is a really good time where you can put all the good things that you know you will benefit you into a smoothie or on your plate. Um, for example, so if you're fasting, for example, if you do intermittent fasting, you're missing out on one big opportunity to have fiber, protein, and all of the nutrients we need. So you've got to be extra careful to get them, pack them into the other meals that you are having.
Yes, I agree. And I do think starting the day with lots of fiber can be really useful, helps with getting your bowels going for the day. And it is an easy time to get it in. So if you like a protein shake, then I mean you should see what my husband puts into his protein shake, probably because he gets such a rubbish choice of lunch. He's gluten free as well, so near where he works. So he's putting in nuts and seeds and
Oh,
I mean loads of different things. And I do my seed cycling. So I will do the ground flax seeds and pumpkin seeds, and then sesame and sunflower seeds. When I say second half of my cycle, I wouldn't say I have a have that exact cycle anymore, but I still go round and round in those 2 weeks. The seeds, nuts and seeds are really, really good. I think it's great to get some walnuts in as well, or
yeah.
like a raw walnut butter is lovely. And then you're hitting the omega 3s as well. So all of these things, and not just fiber, they offer so many more nutrients as well.
Shall I show you 2 products that, I really like and that I've been taking? So I do have a lot of fiber, but I get constipated and just feel like I need extra. So I've got the new Artah Essential Fiber Blend. So this is pre and probiotics. And it is also FODMAP friendly because I know lots of people really struggle to even get the food versions of fiber in their diet because of how their guts react. So this is, as a supplement, can be really useful to top up if you're fasting or if you just struggle to get fiber into your diet. And it's got, is it something like 11 grams of fiber per serving? I have it in, and it's got some kind of gut calming things like chamomile, fennel seed. It's got green banana flour, which is the resistant starch, isn't it? That's
Yeah.
also good for the gut. Psyllium husks, lots of other things. But I have it in a glass of water first thing. And it keeps you kind of fuller for longer. It kind of keeps your blood sugar on well, that's my experience, keeps it on a more even keel.
Yes, well, psyllium husk really useful that, which is why I have it in my gut repair as well. Actually, I have some prebiotics in there. That's in capsule form, although I guess your one is that in a
It's a
powder.
powder, yeah, so it's kind of bigger, it's more of a bulk drink thing, and the other one is these indie gut bars. I'm gonna show them here. We'll link to everything in the notes. So this is kind of fiber in solid form, and they are hugely tasty. It's just made up of foods, the things like acai berry, haskap, Brazil nuts, flax seeds, kiwi, moringa, there's hundreds of them, but it's the only way I can get my children to add more fiber to their diet because they are actually tasty and they eat like 2 of these a day. So I actually buy these in bulk. Indie do a powder fiber supplement as well, but this is for on the go to help you make sure you get your fiber in. So fiber, we're all going to be talking about that.
But bars can be good and they're hard to find. So I use an amino acid protein bar, which has some fiber in as well. And again, so it hits the sort of snack thing where you've got protein in as well. My children like those. It's about the only one they like. So it's really good to, get them into your family through those healthy bars. And there aren't many healthy bars out there. So
No,
there's
I used to make my own. I used to send my children to school with these flapjacks in inverted commas that I had made. Basically, I'd put as much healthy stuff in as I could as a way of getting them to eat more fiber and nuts and things. Well, it wasn't nuts because they were at school, but I would reach a tipping point where they'd go, "Oh, mom, you put way too much healthy stuff in this. I'm not eating it." So yeah, too healthy.
I would say the same. That's like, so I have always snuck in and then I've fessed up only probably about 5 years ago into bolognese. So this is not fiber subject, but I'm just into bolognese. I would put chicken livers. ground up chicken nuggets into my bolognese, which gives that nice rich sauce, but just such a really great source of choline, which so many people are also low in, and then vitamin A as well. I mean, it's just, got packed with nutrients, B12. And I'd sneak it in, and they had absolutely no idea I was putting in. I fessed up about 5 years ago. But yes, fiber is fancy for 2026. I agree.
Health by stealth, that's what we like, isn't it?
Yes.
Health by stealth. Okay, so our next trend. Well, speaking of feeling fuller or not full, I think we can't avoid the subject of GLP-1s, weight loss jabs. They've been around now in the national conversation for a couple of years. And this year, we're going to see a new GLP-1 pill. So it's going to make it more affordable and accessible for more people. So without passing judgment one way or the other, I just think the conversation is going to get more diverse and bigger. And this drug is called, I'm going to try and pronounce it now, orforglipron. Orforglipron. Who knows where the emphasis on that is? Orforglipron. That's a bit of a mouthful. Unlike what it's going to be like to take it. Orforglipron.
Tell me about this one.
Well, I don't know too much about it, only that it's looks like it's coming out in the US in March, and they're waiting for kind of regulatory approval for the UK. But they think it's Eli Lilly who make the drug. They say it's coming out around about springtime. So I do think the conversation's going to change, and maybe more people are going to have access to this. Certainly, what we're seeing in terms of nutrition and hormones is that obviously people are eating less. So the quality of what you do eat has to be really good for all of the benefits we've said, like, regulating your hormones, supporting all the nutrients that you need. So there is a parallel conversation happening about how to make small but highly nutritious meals so you don't get malnourished when you're undergoing kind of quite extreme weight loss.
Absolutely. And that was definitely towards the latter part of 2025. We were seeing a lot in the press about women on weight loss jabs being really malnourished. So they were testing and they were low in so many really essential nutrients. So it's super, super important if you are on the jabs, you're eating less, that those meals, that food has to be absolutely amazing. There's absolutely no room for error here. And of course, because of the muscle loss. So protein, protein, protein is king, or should they say queen? We're talking about women. Let's say protein is queen. Protein's hugely important. So you still need to make sure you're having those 3 meals a day, because they won't be able to get sufficient protein at one meal. So we need to sort of drip feed it. So that's very important. Getting in all those different vegetables that we've spoken about, super important. The fiber and the different sort of polyphenols as well. But then, we'd want to add some lovely healthy fats. And olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, is my most favorite healthy fat. But there's only so much that they can tolerate, because fats are a problem and they feel nauseous and they can't break down their fats very easily. So I would say, the fat that you choose, super important. And even if it's just 1 tablespoon of the best extra virgin olive oil that you can find, because fats are an issue, really hard to break down fat. So you certainly don't want to you couldn't be doing keto when you're doing these weight loss jabs. So the nutrients in the food becomes even more important.
So if we're thinking about the best possible olive oil, Pippa, you put me onto one called the Governor, which is quite pricey, but if you're only having a tablespoon a day, it's like a supplement in olive oil form, isn't it?
It's absolutely amazing. So they're very, very high polyphenol content. And just think, if you are spending that kind of money, you're buying a good quality olive oil. You don't want one that's been sitting on supermarket shelves in a see-through glass bottle, getting warm, getting sun on it, for example, which is already ruining that, the good quality olive oil. So choosing a really good quality one, I think that's key, because less is more for sure. And then also, because of the slowing of the gastric emptying, what we're seeing is potentially the way people are taking certain things, like even their hormones. So progesterone is generally taken by pill orally, like Eutrogeston.
Yeah, I take it orally. Yeah, yeah.
And what they're finding is that many women on the weight loss jabs who are taking the oral progesterone, like Eutrogeston tablet, it's not as effective because it's going through the guts, slowly, because of the slow gastric emptying. And this is a problem.
I spoke to a GP, Rachel Hines, last year, and she said she's having to relook at women's progesterone intake who are on weight loss jabs because the absorption might not be as good. And we're seeing on the younger end of the spectrum also that the pill isn't necessarily as well absorbed. So it really affects oral contraception as well.
Exactly. So need to be careful. And in terms of the progesterone, then the problem is, I mean, don't get me started on progesterone. We'll talk about this in another episode because once I start, honestly, I won't stop. But I think progesterone is literally the unsung hero of female hormones. And the GPs are allowed to, which they say, oh, well, if I go over 200 milligrams, I am prescribing off label. I hate that term, off label. So GPs can prescribe off label all the time. But yes, so I don't know the GP you spoke to, but certainly I imagine they're going to have to go up to much higher milligrams. But I would also be saying that probably not take in one dose. So I generally find what I see in clinic and see with women is that splitting hormones, because that's generally how we pulse our natural hormones. So actually splitting the dosages would work better. But then if a woman is actually going privately to a private doctor, then I would say do ask for something else like the troches, like I take, which goes between, the teeth and the gums, upper gums. So that's a troche. It's like a lozenge. That's a possibility.
So it's absorbed through the gum and you don't have to go through the gut.
Exactly. So most of it's through the mouth and mucosa. And there are different forms like topicals, there are creams, there are other options if somebody's going privately.
And also, when we're talking about absorption, you can get vitamin D sprays as well. I mean, vitamin D is the one thing that we should all be taking because we don't get enough in the winter months. But maybe thinking about that kind of thing, any kind of like sublingual formulas that you could take or mouth sprays.
Kind of thing, those are sort of fat soluble vitamins, so vitamin A, D, E, and K. And certainly, yes, I mean, if there are problems biology, sometimes these jabs put a burden on the gallbladder, for example. So that's definitely a potential. However, the GP can test your vitamin D. And if your vitamin D level's fine, then continue, with what you're doing. You don't need to go out and buy necessarily a different form.
So that's our trend number 2. Trend number 3 actually segues into 2 a bit as well, because when we were talking about the side effects of GLP-1s, one of them is hair loss. I think the hair conversation is just getting bigger for all of us in midlife. And I went to the launch of a new salon yesterday called Avum, and it's run by a hairdresser who is also really interested in hair health. And he's partnering with an aesthetic doctor, Sophie Schotter, so his name is Tom Smith. And they've come up with a concept about like a hair health salon. Because if you think about it, when you go to your hairdresser, they are looking at your scalp. They are monitoring the changes in your hair over years. Whereas when you go to your aesthetic doctor, they may see that your hair has decreased in quality, but they may not be able to talk about it with you because you haven't brought it up. You may be there to discuss your skin or whatever. But having your hairdresser seeing these issues early when they're kind of poking about your scalp and making some suggestions and partnering with a clinic, that means you can kind of, there's a path to see trichologists or to have a treatment like PRP, which is platelet-rich plasma, where your own plasma is injected into your scalp to boost growth. Well, there are all sorts of things we can do for hair growth. There are a DNA test called a tricho test, which I've had, which shows your potential, what treatments may be potentially effective for you. And I think we're going to be seeing hair salons crossing over with clinics. This particular salon has a nurse practitioner there who can do some of these treatments. And I think hair growth, hair health is going to see a boom this year. And last year, do you remember I talked about LED for hair and I put my LED baseball cap on? This year, I've got a new thing to try. It's still in its box. I'll report back. And this is a helmet with red light and also laser. So it's not going to zap my scalp. It's low-level laser, so it's a different kind of light. It's by Nuance Paris, and it's the hair helmet M20 to 282 Pro. You have to use these more regularly. I think this is a five days a week job, but there's a lot you can do to target inflammation in the follicles, stimulate the growth, and especially if you catch hair issues early. And by the time we notice hair loss, it's usually quite advanced by the time we seek treatment. So I think there's going to be a lot of preventative work too on hair and scalp. scalp serums are booming. There's a great new one by Root, Rhute. It launched last September. It went viral. It keeps selling out, and it's made by a dermatologist. I really like that one because it targets scalp health immediately. So you immediately feel better. You know, when your scalp just feels kind of itchy, it kind of affects your whole day. But it also tackles hair growth long term. So there's going to be a lot more in the hair health space, I think.
I agree. And I think the thing is with these things, particularly with hair loss, because we sit in clinic all the time. And honestly, can't tell you, it's one of the biggest things that upsets a woman. So, and it's about root cause because people can be throwing money at different things, but they need to know why. If you don't know, because that's functional medicine, that's what I'm about. I'm about the why of the why of the why. So it's the functional medicine tree. It's getting down to those roots. And what we see in clinic, the two biggest reasons for hair loss that we see in clinic are low thyroid, particularly low T3, which is the active hormone, and high androgens, or not just testosterone, but somebody could be more of this pathway. They're going down 5-alpha, which promotes more DHT, or the DHT might be normal, but it's the activation of these androgens in the cells. So it's either androgens, excess androgens, or low thyroid. I look back in some of my Instagram reels. It's really funny when my thyroid was low. And I think it happened quite quickly. And I think it's probably there's a 6 month between I doing blood tests. So I do regular blood tests. And my hair, when I look back, it was thin. I mean, I've, have finer hair anyway. And I look back, it was thin. And that's when my thyroid was low. But as soon as I supported, so I got my MetaBoost supplement that supports thyroid. So it's got iodine and selenium that supports the conversion of T4 to T3, that active form, and a thyroid glandular. Oh my goodness, literally within weeks, I could see that my clue is basically when I'm washing my hair, especially if I've washed my hair only just like say 2 days before, the day before, if there's more coming out when you wash it, that was or somebody might notice in their hairbrush. Low thyroid tends to be more hair loss all over. When it's androgenic, it tends to be more at the front and down the parting. Now, you might have both, but I'm just saying that those two things are important to look at. And then if it's the androgens, it's then looking at what works. So saw palmetto is probably one of the strongest herbs that we use in clinic. If somebody is more of this 5-alpha type person, that's one of the strongest herbs. But progesterone is also powerfully and anti-androgenic. And we tend to find women who have issues with their androgens and then symptoms as well, especially in perimenopause and menopause, do better on a higher dose of progesterone because it's naturally anti-androgenic.
Yeah, I have the androgenic form. I can see from my mother and my grandmother, they had the same pattern around the hairline and the temples. And I've talked about them before, the Philip Kingsley, minoxidil and hormone drops. And in mine is also progesterone, estrogen, progesterone, minoxidil, caffeine, and another DHT blocker. So yeah, addressing the hormones is vital.
What's the next trend, you think?
Trend number 4 is a new type of wearable, and it's all about blood pressure. So we've been talking about the continuous glucose monitor, all sorts of different trackers. This year, I think we're going to be focusing on blood pressure because having high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease is such a big issue for women, isn't it?
Absolutely. Honestly, cardiovascular disease is the biggest killer in women of our age. So it's so important to address that. And it can be very, very silent. So I'm interested to hear about this new wearable.
Yeah, so I've got it here. It's a Hilo. It's a cuff that you wear and a wristband. I've yet to set it up. So this is the wristband. And it provides continuous readings of your blood pressure because, as you said, it's asymptomatic. And it's something like 30% of adults in the UK have high blood pressure, and about half of them don't know. Because when you go to the GP and you can get white coat syndrome, they put the blood pressure monitor on you and you go, oh my God, what happens when my blood pressure's sky high? And then it goes sky high. But this you wear continuously, so you get a continuous reading, but you can also work out what is spiking your blood pressure. And one big factor is going to be alcohol, but stress. And you can work out your patterns and set in train lifestyle factors to help bring it down. And of course, if your blood pressure is continuously high, I mean, the sort of safe measure is 120/80, I believe. But yes, you can work out if you're consistently going over that or your resting blood pressure is higher, and then you can take action.
Yes, exactly. And I think because dealing with adrenaline is such an issue in perimenopause and menopause. We all become, when I say we all, a lot of us, me for sure, become what I call adrenaline dominant. So
Wow.
I've always been, so I have my genetic profile on my whole adrenaline profile isn't brilliant. So I have genes that means I'm really, really sensitive to adrenaline. So I feel it. Now that could be doing a presentation. It might be when I was younger doing the, in the sports, sports day, doing a race or something, or it could be, real time stress, probably to the children. that would be me being really sensitive. I feel that adrenaline, the effects on my body are more. And then to make matters worse, I have genes, my MAL-A comp gene. I had two genes that means I don't detoxify my adrenaline very well. So it hangs around as well. Now, what happens in perimenopause and menopause is that our whole HPA axis really gets dysregulated. Our progesterone drops, that we don't have this nice calming buffer. And women feel this adrenaline. And that is the hot flushes. That is the unrelenting hot flushes. It's the adrenaline.
Mm.
Women will understand when they get their hot flush, and they can feel sometimes just before that just surge of adrenaline, and then it comes on. So that's why sometimes if they do a bit of deep breathing immediately, they might sort of prevent it. But a lot of those hot flushes are adrenaline. So working on adrenaline is super important for blood pressure. And again, measuring it, as you say. So my new menopause formula has ingredients in there as well to support cardiovascular health. But I think it's really important to manage that stress, which is not very easily done. So I do think, yes, getting your blood pressure checked all the time. This sounds brilliant, this device. And then, as you say, seeing what spikes you. But I do think things like your yoga nidra that you do, I think that's a really, really powerful tool.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder if there are going to be lots of divorces now, people walking around wearing their blood pressure monitor going, look, you're spiking my blood pressure. You're bad for my health.
Yeah, probably.
Our last trend is makeup in midlife. I feel like when you get to your late 40s, 50s, and beyond, you get a bit stuck in your old makeup ruts, but you don't really know what to turn to next. And I think one range is really knocking it out the park at the moment, and that's the number 7 Pro Artist collection. I've got a few things by them here. It's curated by makeup artist Nick Chapman, and she really knows what she was doing. Do you remember Pixie Woo back in the noughties? She's one half of Pixie Woo, Sam and Nick Chapman. They were early, like one of the earliest YouTubers. But last year, this bronzer, it's a cream bronzer called Soft Glow Cream Bronze. It went viral because it's a dupe for Chanel and it's under 20 quid. And it gives you just this lovely soft glow flush. It comes in 4 shades, but all their other stuff I've been really impressed with. Sophisticated formulas, grown up, easy to use, good price point, advantage card points. And if you're looking for a new foundation, I've just swapped this. So this is my new one, number 7 Pro Artist Weightless Silk Foundation. And I used to use a Sizzly one, which was about 5 times the price. It's a liquid, and this is just as good. So my shade is cool beige. And you can go in store and be shade matched for that. It's really easy. So yeah, so if you're looking for a place to get some new makeup, have a bit of a refresh. Number 7 Pro Artist collection. So Pippa, I know you look for toxin-free beauty. Which are your favorite brands?
Well, actually, you're right saying about 2026 trends, because I have had a bit of an overhaul. So my favorite brands have always been Ilia, I really like, and Westman Atelier. So Westman Atelier is a pricier point. Ilia is a more affordable. And then I discovered the Victoria Beckham Foundation in 2025, end of 2025. And wow, I got it on now, actually. I am obsessed. So she has that affiliation. Well, it's a partnership with Augustina Badders.
Augustina Spada, yeah.
So she has that. So it's got that really good technology. It's got the skincare ingredients as well. And it's just glowy and natural. I like things that are really natural. I'm absolutely obsessed with that foundation. It's just gorgeous. Does seem to last quite a long time. But I'm really thinking about ingredients. Now, you can't just say that one brand is all completely free of toxins. I think that's impossible. You've got to look at the individual product. I use a website called Inky Decoder. And my daughter does as well. We're obsessed with using it. So I will have a look at the ingredients online. You can copy and paste the ingredients of a product that you like, whether it's skincare, makeup, and then paste it into the website, and it will come back. It'll say icky, good, yuck, things like that, which is so useful.
And so Inky, that means the ingredients list, doesn't it?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
easy decoder. So I like Ilia, Westman Atelier, and Victoria Beckham.
Well, some great ideas for 2026 there. And we'll be reporting back on all of those trends that we've tried. I'm going to put my continuous blood pressure monitor on now. And I'm really intrigued to see what my blood pressure is like throughout the day and throughout the week and how I can manage that.
I'm going to get one of those as well and see what triggers me.
Well, that's brilliant. Thank you, Pippa. It was so great to talk to you as ever. Thank you, everyone, for listening. And we'll see you all again next week.
See you next week. Bye. If you enjoyed this episode of Hormones and Handstands, don't forget to follow or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And if you love this episode, please do leave us a review. You can also find us on Instagram at Hormones and Handstands for behind the scenes content, sneak peeks, and to let us know what you want to hear more about. See you for another one next week.